What happened to the ship which used to fly? The powerful Russian atomic submarines lying under the seas posed an enormous risk to the United States Navy in the late 1960s. The Navy recognized the necessity for a warship that could outmaneuver and outrun them. So, in the spring of 1969, the Navy displayed its latest weapon in the struggle against the Russians, a breakthrough hydrofoil capable of flying above the water at previously unheard speeds. During the 1960s, the United States Navy was the most powerful and competent force on the planet, capable of projecting its influence to any corner of the globe. However, military strategists became more concerned about an emerging threat from the Soviet Union that would necessitate the development of a new type of ship to resist. The Soviet Union's atomic-powered submarines posed a threat because they were getting quicker, more capable, and more extensive. The most recent version under development was expected to reach a staggering 41 knots fully underwater, allowing them to track down and outpace torpedoes in the U.S. fleet. With these new subs, the Soviets could track American carrier groups anywhere in the world. The Navy realized it needed significantly faster ships. In 1906, an Italian engineer invented the hydrofoil, a boat that could lift itself out of the water using foils or underwater wings to attain extraordinary speeds. This method lowered drag greatly, allowing hydrofoils to travel over water with ease, making them an important invention in maritime transportation. The legendary inventor, Alexander Graham Bell, later improved on the idea and beat the world record for naval speed. Commercial hydrofoils were launched in the following decades, revolutionizing the marine sector. However, the hydrofoil's full potential had yet to be realized, and the U.S. Navy was originally skeptical of its possibilities. Hydrofoils were primarily utilized in calmer seas due to their design, which rendered them sensitive to waves, limiting their utility in stormy seas. The Navy recognized that hydrofoils may be the response to the stronger Soviet submarine threats. The hydrofoil design, on the other hand, was a substantial obstacle as it lacked dynamic stability. By 1970, the Navy had 4 prototype hydrofoils under examination, the biggest of which was the 320-ton Plainview. Concept designs for even larger ships weighing up to 2,500 tons were being developed, and these destroyer escort-sized hydrofoils may potentially be outfitted with helicopters. Before any of these designs could be built, however, each of the Navy's prototype ships was tested to examine alternative foil configurations and propulsion systems. Hydrofoils were high-speed ships designed to cross the wide ocean while enduring heavy storms and other difficult circumstances. Plainview was one of the most spectacular hydrofoils, propelled by a pair of 600 horsepower diesel engines that let it to travel at extraordinary speeds. When the ship needed to move faster, the crew would lower the foils and engage a pair of 14,000 horsepower gas turbines, similar to those seen in fighter planes. Plainview could fly at over 50 knots with this configuration. And it was meant to be improved with an extra set of jet engines and a supercavitating foil system that allowed it to achieve speeds of up to 90 knots. Plainview's foils were linked to an automated control system that worked similarly to an aircraft's autopilot. Using data from a sonic height sensor, accelerometer, and set of gyros, this system continuously altered the angle of attack to maintain level flying. The creation of Plainview and other experimental hydrofoils, on the other hand, proved to be a massive problem. The Navy announced Plainview requirements in 1960, and Grumman won the design competition in 1961. The project was handed to Lockheed for construction 2 years later. Because of a series of strikes at Lockheed shipyards, Plainview did not make its maiden high-speed test flight until March 1968. Furthermore, the ship was riddled with flaws that should have been rectified earlier. Plainview was already 3 years behind schedule and over budget by 1969. The Navy opted to take matters into its own hands and accept the incomplete ship in order to try to solve the problems on its own. Plainview was a superior ship after the overhaul, more capable at sea and considerably more dependable. However, some in the Navy had become frustrated with the ship's lengthy development. Despite their numerous advantages, hydrofoils were not widely adopted by the Navy due to a number of major limitations. The complicated foils and twin propulsion systems of hydrofoils rendered them less trustworthy and more maintenance-intensive, consuming a larger portion of the Navy's budget. Another issue that hydrofoils faced was their viability in anti-submarine battlefare. By the mid-1970s, the Navy had made substantial headway in tracking and hunting down submarines using planes, which proved to be more successful and cost-efficient than hydrofoils. As a result, the justification for huge ocean-going hydrofoils like Plainview no longer appeared to be as strong. Despite these obstacles, the Navy persisted in its pursuit of hydrofoil technology, finally putting it into production after more than a decade of research and development. Despite plans to build 44 ships, only 6 entered service with the United States Navy and were withdrawn after only 10 years due to exorbitant operating expenses and a lack of a suitable purpose. The Navy's funding for experimental hydrofoil development was abruptly reduced from $2.2 million per year to $0 in 1978, thereby ending any future hydrofoil development. This decision signaled the end of an era for hydrofoil technology, which was previously heralded as a daring leap that blurred the barriers between naval and aviation technology.